asking you to okay that. And with that, I'd love to give it over to Katie Hansen.
Hi, everyone. Well, Crystal and I are very excited to be here today and to meet you all. We want to make sure we hopefully can answer your questions. If we don't have an answer, we can work with Vanita afterwards to research it and get it back to you. So Crystal and I, we aren't assigned to specific programs or students. We help all students on campus. So our department came into, gosh, probably about 4 years ago. So students, because we're a smaller campus, students all have an assigned faculty advisor in their program. And basically what that means is students can go to them for scheduling advice, program advice. They're going to be the experts when an engineer says, what will I learn in a boilers class? I'd love to say that I'd be really well versed in that, but I'm probably not going to answer it as an engineer would. So basically, those professors are really good at like that career advice. What am I going to do with this degree in specifics? Or what is cruise like? Because a lot of them have been on cruise. So they're going to talk to them. They meet with their faculty advisor at least once a term to review their upcoming classes and look at their schedule and what's going to keep them on track. They may have their faculty advisor as a professor at some point, so that's a really good introduction. And they'll end up meeting them at least once a term, but we encourage more because usually we want them to get to know them and start networking and ask those questions about their program. So where Crystal and I come in, we're more the general advisors. So we can help with schedules. We partner with faculty. We know a lot about the classes. We know a lot about the programs. But we're also very focused on resources and study tools and what is available on campus. And Crystal's going to go into a little bit of what those specific resources are that we help with. The nice thing is that because we don't teach classes, we tend to be a little more available. So students can kind of just drop in or make appointments with us, and we have more availability just to sit down and look at all those questions that sometimes students don't know where to go or who to ask. And we try to make sure that we're just kind of that advocate and we can answer those questions or at least get them in the right direction. We kind of know everyone on campus. We try to keep in the know about everything so that we know where to send students, whether it's activities, athletics, student engagement, the commandant's office, conduct. There's just a lot on our campus going on, and you know, sometimes, especially when you're first coming to our school, there's a lot to get used to and new things and new names and what is an XO? So there's just different things like that. So what I would say is we tell students, come to us. Even if you don't know what your question is, you're just feeling overwhelmed and stressed. We try to connect with counseling in the health center if needed, or we just get you to a tutor. Sometimes, honestly, students will say, I'm too scared to go to my professor. I don't know how to start the conversation. We actually help them learn how to do that. We'll play out conversations. We'll even reach out to their professor with them if we need to. So we definitely try to make sure that we're helping students along the way. We're also very well versed in forms and policies. So if students are concerned about going on probation in the future, which hopefully no one is, but it does happen, we can play that out with them and tell them what that looks like. We also, on the forms, like how to get into certain classes, or I want to change my major. Not a thing most students do, but we definitely know how to look at doing that. And I will let Crystal talk about some of the resources.
Yeah, so just to piggyback off of what Katie was saying, I think they were very strategic when they named us as university advisors and not purely academic advisors, because we're really part academics and part life coaches. So we're really here to support the student through whatever sort of pops up and connect them with the right resources. I did want to briefly just show you guys our public-facing website, so you guys are always welcome to look at it and share with your student and encourage your student to look at it. If you go to our Cal Maritime website you can just type in university advising and find it here. We've got a couple of like important dates will be posted, some resources. Something that we might talk a little bit more about is our scheduling and resource center, the Passport and Passport Navigate, and so how students can reach us. And then some of the areas that we focus on, like Katie had mentioned, we're really well versed in CSU requirements and graduation requirements, and we'll go over some roadmap information in a little bit, but we're also those college management skill sort of specialists. So students can find advising tools in here, like how to register, how to pick electives. I'm sure a lot of your students have a schedule and they might want to change something about that schedule at this time. All students received an email from Registrar on Monday. We're going to have open registration next Wednesday and Thursday, so they can make adjustments to their schedule. Some of these tools will help them do that. Schedule planner helps them play with schedule options. So we definitely encourage them to, if they want to switch out of class, they're welcome to do so. They're also welcome to make appointments with us so we could help them look at that as well. They'll also this Thursday be meeting with their schools and their departments. So they're going to get a little bit more information about why do you have to take math and English the first semester, and what kind of classes are going to come later down the line. So this week during their orientation is going to be jam-packed with information, and I know it probably looks murky today, day one of orientation, but it's going to start to clear up over this week, and then we'll have that registration opening up next week. So registration tools, tricks and tips, and then some college success tools that we share with our students. Like Katie was mentioning, like time management is a huge thing for freshmen. And so we try to promote building out their time for study along with class. It's definitely a flipped system. High school was 80% class, 20% homework, and college is 20% class, 80% homework. So you gotta kind of plan for that. How to stay motivated, what does studying look like? It's not just bookwork, it's rewriting your notes, effective note-taking strategies, self-care, questions to ask your professor. And like Katie said, if a student is nervous about sending an email and they want to, us to look at something or help them draft it or play through a scenario so that when they talk to their instructor about they're not connecting with their partner and so they're not sure what to do, like we help run through all of those scenarios, or we can if the student needs any help at all. Some FAQs in here that you're welcome to go through: how to be successful, what if I'm not doing well in a course, what happens if I fail a course, what's probation, can I take a class at another school? So some really common questions that we get and help students with. And then the Passport. So this is launching this year for students. We're really excited. It's actually an app that your student's going to learn about more on Thursday. And it's sort of an appointment and resource center for all students. So it's going to help them be able to schedule appointments with different departments and faculty across campus. It has a resource center, so it helps them easily find if they're interested in athletics and they want to look up how to connect with any of those coaches. They are able to connect with their classmates through the app and create these Studybuddy groups, because if some of our students are online for a class and they're not getting that face-to-face time, we want to encourage them to make those peer-to-peer connections. They'll also be able to sign up for tutoring appointments through this system. So we've been working really hard on this app all summer, getting student feedback. We're really excited to launch it this Thursday for your student. So they'll download it on Thursday. They'll take an intake survey, which then lets us know if they need help with anything right off the bat, and then use it as their sort of resource center. And Katie and I are available in the app by appointment. If your students have further questions, they can also email us, give us a phone call, and we can call them back. So a couple of resources there. I see we do have, or I know you guys are doing questions in the chat, so throw them out there, Vanita, if you want.
Yeah, so thank you, Katie and Crystal, for the great introduction. And I can just sense it in your offer that you help students and you're open to parents asking questions. And I've seen that myself, so I can vouch for it. The first question we have is from Lisa. Does advising offer any college management sessions as part of the new student orientation? Do you, either one of you want to talk about some of the resources you have, and then I might have some information to add on orientation per se.
So I'm thinking about college management. It's like college success tools or how to do well in college, just to clarify.
I suspect that's what Lisa's meaning. Lisa, could you unmute yourself and clarify what you mean by college management?
This is Jennifer, Lisa's the supportive aunt. She's sitting next to me. Yes, what you were mentioning. What you're.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know we have an orientation module that goes over college success skills that they're going to take on Thursday and then get intro to this app. So I imagine they're going to get bits and pieces from every department, right? College is a lot of different areas working together, and it creates this bigger experience, but they're going to have to get good at juggling all of those areas. So definitely going to be, I think my main suggestion is students just ask for help when it comes up, and really pay attention to those contacts that they get to know over orientation, because those are the people they're going to start to ask questions about as soon as they come up. And then Katie, if you have anything to add.
I would say asking for help is the biggest thing that I've seen. Unfortunately, sometimes students will wait and they'll start struggling, but they'll tell themselves they can get through it, and then they won't do well maybe on a test or balancing their time. Which is, we can definitely help them and give them tools and figure that all out. But I also know students have appreciated if they can start out by asking for help and do really well on the first test and get a tutoring appointment and connect with the instructor. So we try to be just really open and transparent and want to support students. We try to remind them we're not scary and happy to help however we can.
Thank you both. In looking at the question about student orientation, most of the orientation program is designed around creating belongingness and connecting with students. So there might not be specific sessions on management of time or finding how to about tools on student success during college years. But if we lay a good foundation and students feel comfortable, as Katie mentioned, reaching out to folks that they meet during orientation, I think that'll just lay a great foundation, and they'll be able to ask for help when they need it or look for the right resources and be able to find them. So orientation is designed a little bit different, but once they're done with that, they have access to resources. The next question I have is there a plan for face-to-face students from Thanksgiving to the end of the semester? I suspect you're talking about academic plan, Michael?
Actually, I'm asking about housing. We're from out of state.
I see. I do not have the answer to that question. On Friday, the lead coordinator for housing will be on a Zoom call, and she will be the best person to ask that question. If you would like to get an answer sooner, I'm making a notation now and I can get that for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next question is, can we meet students at CMA once in a while, and can packages be shipped to them? Thank you, Suman, for asking that question. We're not going to encourage students to leave campus and meet outsiders, be it parents, as much as possible. We cannot enforce that in any manner, but we will be encouraging them to stay put and stay safe on campus. Packages can most certainly be shipped to students. And once they're on campus, within a day or so, they will know what their mailing address is and their mailbox number, and they can share that with you, and you can ship via any courier to them. Okay. Next question is, can you tell us anything about the ship's living quarters? Will there be 1 or 2 beds, wardrobe? Again, those are housing questions, and they are going to be best answered by the lead coordinator for residential life on Friday. With COVID safety procedures, KLR is asking, how is the campus looking in terms of enough dorm space? Once again, Friday, thank you. Plus, remember, tomorrow we have the chair of the Health and Safety Task Force who will be talking with parents, so that might be a good time to ask that question as well. Will you have a drop location? We are local. Julie is asking. Julie, could you unmute and tell me what drop location are you talking about? Are you talking about dropping your student? Are you talking about dropping a package for your student? All right, we'll hear from Julie in a minute. Jennifer wants to know, we would like information about ship quarters. We did not tour the ship's living quarters. Again, please save those questions for Friday. And Melinda Belfour, who is gonna be joining us on Friday, will be the best person to answer those questions. Julie is asking about drop location for a package. Yes, we will have those instructions for you when you bring your student in on the 13th. We'll give you an update on what is the best way to drop off items for your students. Thank you. A question from Sawyer is, how do students get their books for classes? Katie or Crystal, either one of you want to take that?
That hasn't been specified for me. I believe Michelle Van Hoek, our charge of library and stuff, is working on that with Howie. So, and I believe there's also a lot of classes that now have online textbooks. So they might be accessible online, and that will be usually in the syllabus of each class. We'll specify if it's like a free online textbook.
Thank you, Katie. That's exactly what I've heard also is faculty are making notations within their syllabus, and students can follow along. Nobody is going to get in any kind of a pickle because they don't have books on day one. The bookstore will have some ability to supply books, but all of those things will need to be sorted out in time once students are on campus. For virtual students, again, please look at your syllabus and they will, and send us any questions. The students should send their questions to, I'm happy to field them to the right department if you'd like them to send me their questions. Are books provided with tuition is Julie's question. Katie, Crystal?
I don't believe so.
No.
No, there's fees for certain classes that may come with like equipment and stuff, like the welding class and stuff like that. But the books are not.
We have a question from JMC Gover, J McGover, I'm so sorry. We have a scheduled 1:40 drop off for the 13th. What if we're running late? Is that a problem? It could be a problem depending on how late you're running. We are trying to manage traffic very, very carefully. We do not want too many people on campus at the same time. Everybody has a 20-minute, their people are being scheduled in 20-minute blocks. And if you're going to be really late, like 30 minutes or later, please contact us and let us know so we can expect what to do when you do arrive. If you're not arriving during your scheduled time, you may be overwhelming another slot when parents are and students are on campus. So please reach out to me. At the end of this session, I will post my phone number for you to take down. Just text me when if you're running late or something's going on. Do they have, Jennifer is asking, do they have access to their syllabi now?
So all syllabi should be posted by the first day, but there may already be syllabi posted. Students find their syllabus in their Brightspace account. So a lot of students I know have already accessed Brightspace. That's what they're using for orientation this week. And they should, if they're registered for the class, they may already see their class, and they should be able to pull up the syllabus for a lot of them.
I would say, just a side tip, if there were any last minute changes with the class, I always recommend that they confirm the book with the instructor before purchasing through Amazon. We just definitely, as a graduate student in the CSU right now, there's sometimes those little, like, instead of reusing this book, we're going to use this one, and then you're stuck with a $13 book. So just maybe wait for the first day of class.
That's an excellent tip, Crystal. So I know for parents who might not know this already, your students were on Brightspace today, and they finished or started their first day of virtual orientation. So they have access to Brightspace. If there was any student who was unable to connect, they reached out to me, and we were able to troubleshoot that. So they all have access to what's on Brightspace now. Next question is from B. Lou. For freshmen, classes are already set, right? That's the question. And also, or do they pick their classes during registration?
So all freshmen are block registered. So they are yes, they're registered for classes that they need in their freshman year. Registration opens next Wednesday and Thursday for changes. So we usually recommend meeting with one of us or a faculty advisor before you make changes, just to make sure you're not like dropping a course that's going to be a prerequisite to your course for next year. But I know there's a lot of transfer students out there. So sometimes you've already taken Spanish 1, or you have a Math 100 waiver. And so you want to fill in your schedule with an extra class that from a future term to fill in that spot. So there's a lot of times where students may, or you want to take Chinese instead of Spanish. So there's different choices that students can make. But yes, for the majority, everything's already registered and they don't need to do anything. But we always recommend, like, review your schedule. Are you happy with the number of units? 12 units is full time, so we never recommend going below that. But you can definitely look at it and see if you need to add or change anything.
Thank you, Katie. Emily is asking if there are 2 people per dorm room for the incoming class. I know that one for sure. It's single occupancy only for all students. And Marianne is asking, will there be a student drop-off window? I am not aware of one that's already been determined. I promise you will provide that information when you bring the student and drop the student off, not at a window, but with us on the 13th. How many incoming freshmen do you have this year? Nancy wants to know. My last known number was 285. Katie, what's yours?
That sounds right.
Okay. It's been moving between 285 and 287. Then we have Suman asking, is there a 24-hour vending machine for off-hour dining? Do students have to clean their own bathrooms? Please save those questions for the residential and housing lead on Friday. I do not want to give you any information that might not be accurate for this current term. Everything is very different this year because of COVID. Jennifer is asking, this may be a housing question, but my student is concerned if he will be required to stay in his dorm on the ship most waking hours. Katie or Crystal, you want to take a stab at that real quick if you have any answers?
I know students are being encouraged not to, you know, like Vanita said, it's not enforceable, but not to leave campus. But I haven't heard anything about like staying in your dorm. Students are being tested. They will need to wear masks. They will need to social distance, but they can still walk around campus and do all those things.
And the last email update that I think we got from Dean Tenner and Student Affairs is they're working on programming for students living on campus, and that's in-person programming, socially distanced, but you know, on campus and together, not in their dorms, and not through Zoom for everything. But there will be a mix of Zoom, like virtual and in-person programming.
So Jennifer, also remember that most waking hours, there'll be classes, there's the library, there's dining, there, just to get around the campus, there are hundreds of steps that you have to climb up and down, and recovering from going up and down those steps will take a lot of time and energy. Your student will have plenty going on. They will not be sequestered to their room if that's what you're concerned about. Julie asked how many ME students. I'm so excited that I know the answer to that question. It's 33 ME students. And I just have the list up. I'll read it out to you. MET 19, I'm sorry, MET 26, FET 15, ME 33, MT 58, so on and so forth. So thank you for asking that. Jennifer asked a question, programming with a question mark.
Activities.
And yeah. Activities. We are working very diligently on creating those. The trick is knowing what the student would be interested in. Should we pre-plan and just say, oh, here's what you should enjoy, or let them come in and do a couple of surveys to find out what might be of interest to them and then bring that to them. So it's a fine line, and we're trying in student affairs to manage that. Rest assured that there will be some stuff for your student to do. So Julie says in the freshman class, correct, in the freshman class, not all ME students altogether. So Suman is asking, since students are sequestered and not allowed to meet outsiders, will they be able to not use face masks? Katie, Crystal, you want to take a stab at that? Want me to answer?
My understanding is yes, the face masks will absolutely still be required.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the protocol is going to be face mask and social distancing at all times. My understanding is that we are going to take very serious mitigating steps if students are not going to follow the required protocol. So please advise your students that they must be wearing their masks when they're outside their room, starting from the hallway when they leave their room till the time they're back behind closed doors in their room. Same thing with social distancing. And they are not sequestered. They are not sequestered. They have the ability to get around. We highly, highly, highly encourage them to limit their exposure to outsiders. Again, they're not sequestered. Is there a link to a specific type of boot required for campus and on ship? So they should be getting what they need in their sea bag. And if there are other questions you have about uniforms, please send me a specific question in my email that I'll share with you briefly, and I'll find the right person to give you the information. I do not have the exact answer to your question. Someone is asking, will the pool be up soon for recreational swimming? I do believe that access to the physical education and aquatic center will be available to incoming students. Can you please elaborate on the swim assessment requirement? Ouch. Katie, Crystal?
I haven't taken it, but from what I've heard from students, I believe there's 4 different assessments. I think there's like the breaststroke, backstroke. Man, I need to go back to swimming class. But yes, 4 different assessments, and they need to prove that they're capable of doing that. If they're not, they end up taking the swim class, which is half a unit. And they just work with the coaches throughout the term so that they can pass the test by the end.
Thank you, Katie. Can students bring a guitar? Of course, and we would love to just put them in the programming so they can play for everyone else as well. Please, yes, musical instruments are welcome. So Jennifer says there's videos on the website. I'm not sure what that is in response to. Jennifer, would you like to unmute and tell us what that is?
Sure. On the website, and where I'm at right now, I'm not exactly sure where on the website, but there is a description of the swim assessment, what's required, which if I remember correctly, they have to swim 300 meters without stopping, and I'm pretty sure it's any stroke of their choosing. And there's videos, I do believe, of them showing them what they need to be able to do. We didn't watch the videos. We were watching it for a different reason. My son is actually a swim instructor and a lifeguard, and he wanted to know who he would contact on campus to offer his assistance, like how he could help his classmates. We never did figure that out. So if you know who that is, I'll share it with him.
Thank you so much. I didn't find a video, but I'm putting a link on in chat. If you want to go ahead and copy that, go ahead and take a look at what is noted there in terms of swim assessment. Thank you very much for that. How secure are the dorm rooms? Can they leave their passports and valuables? Again, great question for Friday. Are there any music, choir, or theater groups on campus? Katie, Tim's class, do you know anything about that?
I don't believe.
I'm sorry, Briggs' class.
Yeah, I don't believe it's been confirmed if we're offering any of those yet. Unfortunately, I will say that we do have clubs on campus, and that students are welcome to start a club. And there's information on that through Passport Navigate, and they can go to resources and connect with people in student activities and look at doing that. So I would highly encourage that as well.
Thank you for that reminder of clubs, Katie. So music and choir and theater would be more in person, and hard to do any of those virtually. And if we're going to talk about transmission of COVID, singing is the highest or the fastest way to just spread. So I don't believe we'll have a class that involves singing or music. We have had a choir in the past. And Brig Timpson has run that course, but that might not be an option right now. What about a small game console, an Xbox, along with the guitar? Yes, that should not be a problem. We are 3 family members besides our son. Are we allowed to come? We are very sorry, but we are managing traffic on the 13th with only 2 visitors with each student. So unfortunately, you'll have to make a determination who those 2 are from your family. I am so sorry. It breaks my heart to say that to parents. I've received many other emails as well, and we're telling every family that 2 people. Oh, thank you, Crystal, for finding the other piece of information on swim assessment. Are there any classes held on weekends? Katie, you're aware?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
With the exception of firefighting, if your student
Oh,
is registered for firefighting, MT students might be taking it this semester. There are like 2 weekend burn dates, but not regular class meetings.
Right.
Thank you, Crystal. That question was from Nancy, and Julie is asking, where do we post or share our capping video? You know, I was thinking about it just earlier today. Let me find out and have that answer at the next Zoom session. Meanwhile, I think I read somewhere, if you post it on social media, hashtag Cal Maritime, we'll find it. That was the answer. If you post it on social media, hashtag Cal Maritime, and if you can email it to me, you'll have my email at the end, and I'll put it in. Why am I waiting till the end? Please go ahead and send it to me, and I will share it with the Commandant's office that's running that whole thing. And here is my phone number also, if you wish to text or call me. So there you are. When will rising juniors be able to finish face-to-face if they were on commercial cruise? Katie, Crystal?
They're going to have to work with the individual faculty to schedule that with them. There's not a standard, just because there's so many different specifics, right? Different students were in different classes with different professors, but I would definitely recommend they reach out to their professor and the chair of their program to schedule that.
All right. It looks like we've answered most of the questions that might have been on top of everybody's mind from on advising and academics. Does anyone want to unmute and ask a question because they didn't get a chance to type it in because they were calling or just couldn't get to typing their question? Now's your chance to go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
I had a question. I was asking about the Rising Junior because my son's on the cruise now. The other thing that I had a question about is he didn't get a refund because they were scheduled to go to face-to-face, and I guess those kids got a refund later. When will the refund for his housing for last semester kick in?
So, Lisa, I don't believe Katie or Crystal would have that answer. Do you, Katie, Crystal? No. I just put my, Lisa, did you see my email address in the chat?
Yes.
Would you kindly send me an email? I'll forward it to the right person on campus and get you your response. Would that be helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Of course, of course. When will the swim assessment be? It's scheduled for Saturday when you drop off your student on the 13th, which is a Thursday. So that would be the 15th Saturdays when swim assessments are scheduled. Nico wants to know, would a student be able to bring a small motorized bicycle? So yes, as long as it can fit on a bicycle stand outside the building, and there's good, a solid way to lock it. There are some limitations on using motorized bicycles on campus because it's pedestrian in certain areas. So as long as he minds where he's taking it and monitors the use and speed and all of that, yeah, absolutely. Nancy is asking, sorry to be clueless, but what is the capping video? So in a normal orientation year, which it is not 2020, on the day that parents are with students dropping them off, students are trained to walk onto the quad on campus and assemble as they would for formation during their school year. And the parents get the opportunity to put their Cal Maritime cap on them. It's a moment for the parents to say goodbye to their student and for us to take the student over from the parent to take them on their journey for the next few years. It ends up being a very memorable ceremony. But this year, since we're not doing anything in person, each student was mailed a cap and a script, and we requested parents or family members to continue the tradition of capping by putting the cap on the student while they read the script and have it videotaped if they felt comfortable. And again, if they felt comfortable, share that video with us. If Nancy, you did not get the cap for some reason, please email me and I'll make sure you get that, and along with the script so that we can take care of you. Louis is asking, any update on sports? I happened to talk to our new athletic director just today or yesterday, and she advised me that she had submitted an athletics programming plan to the health and safety task force, and she was awaiting their response. So something will come around. We are still waiting. Every step that we take has to be ratified by the task force as well as the chancellor's office. So stay tuned as we know more. We will share that. Jennifer is asking, will they still have morning formation for on-campus students? That is correct. They will. They'll be socially distanced. They will be wearing their masks, and they will be. It will be held on Bodner Field, which is a much larger space than our quad. When students are on the quad in formation, they are shoulder to shoulder with each other, we couldn't have them stand far enough apart, but we have our field, which is where formation will be held. Jay McGovern says, with the cadets on campus this fall, will the cadets on this campus have morning assembly in the quad? That's formation, and yes, we will be doing that. Lisa is asking, I have another question. What time do they need to arrive on campus on the 13th? My son is currently on a docked ship in Alameda and needs to know the time. So Lisa, you are a returning parent, and I do not have access to the time frames that were sent to returning students. So shoot me an email and I will forward that to the right people to get you your answer. Nancy says, thank you for the capping. Michael says, is there a specific mask a cadet needs? Katie, Crystal, do you want to take a stab at it?
I have not heard that there's any kind of requirement for the mask. So I'm going to say probably not at this moment, but Yeah.
I haven't heard anything either. We're a uniformed campus, so the only requirement would be to keep it subtle, and I would buy a plain black or khaki or navy blue kind of a mask. It has to be tasteful and as clean as possible. If you're wearing a disposable kind of mask, that's perfectly fine too. Students will have access to masks here, the disposable kinds, if they need any. I personally use the ones from Old Navy. You can buy a plain blue one from there. They're soft fabric. They work very well, but there are no specifics that we're putting out there. Someone wants to know if cadets will be given masks when they arrive. We will have some on hand that we can definitely hand out, but your student might want to bring something that they're comfortable with, that is comfortable to the touch and on their face. So either way. Marianne says, do we provide the shoes, boots for uniform? Again, this question was asked earlier, Marianne. Unfortunately, I do not have the answer for that. But if you send me an email, my email address was in chat earlier, I'd be happy to get you the right answer. Michael says, in Hawaii, we wear gaiters. For those who are from Hawaii, here's a tip. Lisa wants to know, can students get a sports physical on campus? Yes, I suspect they can. Yes, in fact, the answer is yes. Marianne, no apologies necessary. We're trying to answer your questions. That's why we're hosting this call. So always ask the questions. All right. Looks like we've shifted our concerns and questions away from academics and advising, which is perfectly fine. If there are no more questions for Katie and Crystal, we can say goodbye to them with a big round of applause and a big thank you. And I can stay on for a little bit longer to answer any other questions.
I have another question for Katie and Crystal.
Absolutely.
So when we toured the campus, we were told that there was a on-campus tutoring center hours basically every night. How is that administered? How is that going to work online? And ideally this is like a campus culture that they want to participate in it, and they're encouraged to participate in it with such a small cohort. But is it widely used? Because I can tell my son until he's blue in the face to go, but until who knows it for sure.
So yes, in a normal year, the C Center is definitely very widely used. It's open Sunday through Thursday, 7 to 11 p.m. for tutoring. And people can just drop in for tutoring anytime. And hopefully we go back to that when we're all on campus. Due to health and safety, this term, tutoring will be done online through appointments. So sometimes it will be group appointments. There might be 3 to 5 students in a group appointment based on the same subject. So students can do that. Or it'll be one-on-one, and they can pick by subject, and they'll tutor with a peer tutor, somebody who's taken the class before, possibly had the same instructor, can sit there and go, oh, I know this paper, I know exactly what you're being asked to do, and I can help you through it. And Crystal and I encourage students all day long to go to tutoring as well. So we try to connect them and help them set up an appointment to do that. There's also a cool feature in Passport Navigate that is called Studybuddy. So when students download the app, they're able to, once classes have started, they'll be able to go into the Studybuddies option and see all their classes, and they can add themselves to a Studybuddies list. And what that does is if 10 people in the class want to add the list, they can all see each other's emails, and they can create a study group. They can ask each other questions. Oh, how are you doing on that homework? Any tips, that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely encouraging that as well for students, especially for those who will be virtual and may not be in a classroom where they can see people right next to them. They can add themselves to the list to do that.
So Rhonda has a question. Will the majors that are not on campus this semester be prioritized in any way to be able to attend class next semester over transfers?
So, sorry, Rhonda, I'm trying to understand your question. Be prioritized to attend class next semester over transfers, because we don't know what next semester is going to look like. I think we're all hoping that we're all back on campus. So I don't know if you're referring to housing, because if you're referring to prioritization for housing, I would say that probably should be a housing question, because I don't have an answer for that.
She is asking about attending class next semester, not housing. I may not be giving the best answer here, but Rhonda, our campus is very unique in a way. We do not get any additional transfer or new students for spring semester. We may get one or two or a number like that who join us in January, but typically our incoming class starts in August, and that's it. So there will be no other students that your student who's virtual now will be competing with.
Okay, that makes sense. And I would also say we're also very unique in the sense that that curriculum sheet that Crystal posted, so we're very structured in our classes. So I would say, like, I've also heard stories of like some CSUs you're competing for a spot in the class, or there's not enough room and now it's going to take you longer to graduate. So I would say we're very much set up on a 4-year plan. That doesn't mean that students can't choose to take 5 years. That doesn't mean that sometimes students fail a prerequisite class and they have to go longer. But for those who are passing their classes and staying on track, like, that is a 4-year plan. You're gonna have access to those classes. We build the classes based on the number of students that we have to make sure that everybody has the classes they need to graduate on time. So just wanted to throw that out there.
If I may, so I know from a college perspective, we're always telling parents to, this is your time to let your student go, teach them to advocate for themselves, and let them learn to make their own decisions. Yes, that's true, and we always say that, always support that. We want you to trust your student and empower them to be at college and do things on their own. However, I'm also a parent myself, and I know sometimes you just want to know what's next. What is my student supposed to be doing? Are they doing it? And I highly, highly recommend for you to put your eyes on those roadmaps that Crystal shared. They're available. Just take a look. And that's just going to give you a lot of, it'll help you be assured that there is a plan and your students following it. You can check on a regular basis with them to say, hey, are you on track? And they can tell you yes or no, or what the concerns are. But those roadmaps are really, really awesome. We've had them for many years, and I can assure you that lots of other universities would love to be on a plan like that. So take a peek at it, and it's going to give you a lot of comfort in knowing that there is a path for them to stay on track. And Katie and Crystal, I cannot say it enough. Really, really keep your students on target and help them stay on track. And if they veer off, they're so kind, and your student won't even know they brought them right back on track. And they're that skilled. So, but definitely look at those roadmaps. Did you, was that something, Crystal, you showed them as you went through your webpage?
It wasn't. I forgot, which is why I posted it. I do have them pulled up and can just quickly show you really quick what they look like. So if you are on our homepage and you type in curriculum roadmaps, they're under the Office of the Registrar, and you'll see your students by major and incoming class. So students entering in 2020 and based on their division if they're divisional. So you can find out more about what classes your student is taking. Yeah, take a glance at it. This is essentially their 4-year plan. Doesn't mean they can't swap things around. We can help them with that.
Thank you, Crystal. I have a question from Nancy. Will every student have a set of required appointment to meet with Katie and Crystal, or do students need to seek you out on their own?
They need to seek us out. We don't have appointments scheduled for each one, but they definitely have our module on Thursday. There's a video of us, there's different tools and resources, and one of the requirements is downloading the app, and they can make an appointment with us through that.
I have a question from Suman that says, my son has not heard from NROTC Berkeley yet. Will his class schedule be changed once he does? Katie, you want to speak to
There
that?
are NROTC forms that he or she will need to work with the registrar's office to fill out and work with them on a schedule. So I would definitely, once they hear from Berkeley, work with them to make sure those forms are filled out.
Thank you, Katie. We have a question from Lisa saying, what about the writing test they take when they are juniors?
So every CSU has the graduate writing exam. So on their curriculum sheet that Crystal showed you, every student has English 300 in there, which is our junior writing class. You have to be junior level to take it. You must take it at Cal Maritime. You cannot transfer another class in from any other school to fulfill it. But what we tell students is that once you're junior level, you can take the graduate writing test, which is, I think it's like a 2-hour test, and there's a prep workshop for it. We offer it once a term. It's on the academic calendar for when we'll offer it, and you can take it twice. So once a term. If you don't pass the test, then you have to take the class. Or you can choose not to take the test and you can just take the class right off the bat. So few options.
All right, it is 5:01, and like I said, I'll stay on if you have questions that are not related to advising or academic support or classes and majors. For any other questions, but I'd love to give Katie and Crystal a warm round of applause. I will do that and thank them for being with us, and I'll stay on. Katie and Crystal, thank you again, and you're welcome to move on. Have a great evening.
Thanks, you all too.
Thank
Bye.
you all. Bye.
All right. So, any other questions?
Yeah, a quick question,
Sure.
Michael here in
Uh-huh.
Honolulu. Where do we find the Studybuddy app?
So you will not find the Studybuddy app because you're the parent.
Right, well, where will the cadet find it?
So on Thursday, they will get access to that app that they will be given instructions to download. And once they download it, it's called Passport Navigate. And once they have that app on their phone, they'll have access to all of those resources that Crystal was talking about. And if you want to know more and you go to University Advising webpage that belongs to Katie and Crystal, you'll be able to see all of that information there.
Thank you.
Not
Also
cool.
be aware, my cadet shared with me, he received an email from the sports department that they will not have any sports, what was the word? Physicals. No sports physicals on campus.
They will not have any sport physicals on campus.
That was the
That's-
email that went out 2 days ago.
So let me check again. My apologies. This semester is like no other.
Agreed.
Sports physicals. I will get back with the parents on Zoom in the next time tomorrow with the sports physical final answer. Thank you for letting me know, Michael.
Thank you for all you've done for us. We
Oh,
appreciate it. Aloha.
absolutely. So it looks like a bunch of thank yous came through. You guys are very welcome. It's my pleasure. And then I have a question from Lisa. My son is on a ship, so he will not be able to get physical otherwise. So Lisa, again, I'm making a notation to get that information. And if the physicals are for sports, we will be flexible, and we don't even know the status of how sports are going to turn out for this semester. So please don't fret about it. It'll all pan out. We are all in uncharted waters, intended pun here. So hang in there and we'll figure it out. Lisa wants to know about water polo. Again, stay tuned as we find out more on what athletics is going to be able to do. Everybody, you are all very welcome. You have my information. Oh, I was going to share my details with you guys so that you can reach out to me anytime that you want to. I encourage you to join the Kielhaler Family Facebook page. It's a closed group. It asks you a couple of questions. Make sure you answer them so that I can verify your student is a current student at Cal Maritime and then approve you to participate on that Facebook page. So we do not do specific class off Facebook pages. If a parent wants to start one and invite other parents, that's something that you're welcome to do. We do not. My daughter's school had ones for the dorms as well. So we don't do that. And so I'm sorry. Any other questions? Residence Hall conversation on Friday. You might want to bring it up with them. They might have some social media outlet that they use for communication or connection. So I have a question from Suman about parents volunteering for activities. Suman, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we will have activities. When we can have those, we will reach out to parents to see if they want to volunteer. But usually we do ask if parents want to participate. That message will come out from me when we get there. I'm hoping soon. All righty then. We will meet you again tomorrow, some of you and some new ones. In fact, tomorrow at 10 and Thursday at 10 and then Friday back at 4. And the topic tomorrow is COVID health and safety. The topic on Thursday will be student health and well-being. And the last day will be Res Life. Thank you, Jennifer, for offering to volunteer as well. All righty, guys. thanks again for participating today, and I wish you have a great evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.